directors here at Right at Home, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Amy and Nabon. So first things first, where are you guys located?
So we are located in the west central suburbs of Chicago.
Perfect. And when did you guys become Right at Home franchisees?
We started in January of 21, right in the thick of COVID.
Yes, with a resale opportunity. So why don't we take a moment then to describe the makeup of the business. So who does what within your guys' office setup between you and Nabon?
Sure. So I'm in the office every week, every day. I run the day-to-day ongoings of the business. Nabon does have his own job, but he is my support every day and bounce off ideas, and he has a lot of help.
Trevor, she's not doing her self-service here. She does, I would say 99.9% of everything. And then if she has, if there's some things that I can help with, I do, but it's mainly philosophical help that I give her, or sometimes some different viewpoints on, opportunities for improvement that pop up.
Perfect. And before you guys took the plunge and became franchisees with us, what was your background prior to this?
So my background is in accounting, actually, which did help quite a bit coming into a business. I have my bachelor's degree from Northern Illinois. I worked in tax and audit for probably 7 years. I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years, which may or may not have helped. But I think having that background and running a business, you need to know the payroll and the billing and budgeting. And so it really did help me from a business standpoint.
Sure.
Yeah. For me, I've always been in technical roles. So I started my career in the military. I spent the first 6 years going to nuclear power school and serving on a submarine with the Navy. And then after that, I've spent the next, 14 years in various roles inside data centers. So always super technical, process and procedural driven. So sometimes I get to help Amy with some of that stuff, but not as much as I had hoped, because Right at Home is really good about having good process in place. So there wasn't a lot of value for me to add there, unfortunately.
Well, and how did you guys decide on senior care and Right at Home? What was your driving force behind that? Did you always wanted to be business owners, or paint that picture for me?
Yeah, maybe can I start that one?
Yeah.
So we had talked a lot about, over the years, we've always talked about being business owners and having something that we could potentially pass on to our children, and, just the financial stability and working for yourself. And, there's a lot of great things that are a part of that. We never once talked about home care until the beginning of the pandemic. I got sick, and I spent 4 to 6 weeks out of work, in and out of the hospital. And thankfully, Amy and the children never had COVID. But it got my brain thinking on what do people do? Like if a family member gets sick, or are in the hospital and out of the hospital, and being in the military, I knew like children sometimes have to move away, and what do people do? And it just started snowballing. And then Amy and I started talking about it, and then we started looking into like, what do people do? And home care came up, and then we started researching, different franchise opportunities in that. And And then we found Right at Home, and Right at Home really resonated with us right from the beginning. Just looking at the website, and then we started talking to this amazing guy named Trevor. And the first conversation there was great. And then every subsequent conversation after that was great. So that's how we found and came to be Right at Home.
Yeah, and you guys were pretty unique too, because when we initially started talking, you were looking at potentially starting up a new territory from scratch. And then as we were going along, one of the owners had raised their hand to say they were ready to sell, and then you guys got to explore that opportunity. So your process was a little bit different, but nonetheless, I mean, you still ended up becoming Right at Home franchisees with us. That's awesome. So took the plunge in 2021, bought a resale opportunity. Talk to me about year one, right? It's it can be a roller coaster year, right? It really is. Year one in any business is. So talk to me about the good and the bad. What have you liked thus far? And what do you say? Gosh, maybe I don't like that every day in the business. Be open and honest.
No, the first year has been a roller coaster, especially the first, I would say, 6 months. I was just trying to get a grasp on everything, and the amount of corporate calls that I had, because I would call and say, I don't know what I'm doing with this, and they would immediately set me up with a coach, walk me through everything. And after a couple times of doing the payroll, after a couple times of getting the billing correct, and working with someone through Zoom so that they could see my screen, I knew exactly what I was doing. I finally got that portion of it. And then as far as the clients go, after a while, you kind of get to know them and learn their little quirks. And within the first year, I tried to get out and meet as many people as I could, because it gave me a better understanding of the specific care that they needed, the specific caregiver that would be best for them. So really in that first year, I tried to do as much learning as I could, not only about the business, but about the caregivers and clients.
Sure. So it seems like you've liked that. What is something that you've gotten into today? Say, I don't like as much. It doesn't because there is no such thing as a perfect business, right? And we just, for people watching this, you should understand that there's going to be things that you're really going to love, and there's going to be things that you might not love so much. So what's something that you might not love so much in the business?
Yeah, so there's always a stressful day. Everything goes along fine, and then all of a sudden we have a caregiver that has COVID, and I have to kind of figure out how to get someone in there to help, because I never say to a client, well, we can't go, sorry. I always have a backup and help them. And it's that process of, we immediately need to find help for them, because Mrs. Smith not having someone there to help her go to the bathroom is not an option.
Yeah.
So it's just the random things that come up, I guess, that are probably the most stressful.
So you're a year in at this point. Walk me through what a typical day looks like, if there is such a thing. I mean, maybe there's not a typical day, but what would it, if there is, what does a typical day look like for you?
So I wouldn't say there's a typical day. I would say there's a typical week, maybe. The beginning of my week starts out with the, again, a payroll billing, the accounting portion of I try to get that all out of the way at the beginning of the week. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, Wednesday, I always have a meeting with my office staff. We go through every client, every caregiver. Hey, does this caregiver want more hours? How's this client doing with the hours that they have? We go one by one down the list. And then generally Thursday, Friday are my days to go out and see clients. That's usually the schedule I try to keep, but I think it was last Friday. I had a caregiver that had a flat tire. So within 10 minutes of me getting to the office, I packed up and went to the client to make sure that, because the wife had an appointment to go to. So I wanted to make sure the husband had someone there for him. So I try to keep it structured that way a little bit, but you never know what's going to happen.
Well, for those that are thinking about joining this system, the reality is if they purchase a territory or resale opportunity, they're going to have existing franchisees around them. So, I know that the Illinois group is a tight-knit group of people, and, you're a year into being within that group. So maybe talk about that. Like, is that a benefit or not a benefit, having an established group around you? I mean, what are the pros and cons to that?
I absolutely love it. I haven't met one of the Illinois owners that I can't jump on the phone with them and ask, hey, what's with this? And they, won't give me an honest answer. Or I've had an owner tell me, hey, I've been in your shoes. It's going to be rough for a couple months getting started, but once you get through that thick of it, it is such a fulfilling experience. So I can't think of one negative of the Illinois owners. They've all been amazing. We've been able to meet all together at least once this year. I can't think of one negative of them. They've been awesome, especially for a new owner coming in.
Well,
Trevor, there's been, sorry. There has
no.
been a couple of things that Amy and I have talked about, right? Amy's like, oh, this situation happened or this situation happened. And we talk about it, over dinner or after we put the kids to bed. So we'll talk about different approaches, but then Amy's had subsequent conversations with various owners around. And she's like, oh, this is what this person had to say. And it kind of aligns with what we were thinking, but they would tweak it, just a little bit like this because they've seen this in the past. So having that type of a resource, I think has been really, really helpful.
And so let's touch upon resources then, right? Because obviously for someone that's looking into a franchise, they want back-end support. They want all the things that come with being part of a franchise. So what are some of the systems? Obviously in year one, you're learning all the systems and you're getting your feet underneath you, but what are some of the systems that you feel you've utilized more in the system that have been more helpful to you being newer?
I'd say corporate is my main go-to, because even if they can't specifically help me, they have a company or a contact, or they just, they've been in the business. They know who does this, call them. They will be able to help you. Or corporate themselves, just jumping on a call and walking me through stuff. I've also obviously had, my payroll company themselves reach out, the owners, trying to think, but I've never had an issue with not getting an answer.
Perfect. Well, these conversations generally go pretty quick. The 15 minutes gets eaten up. So I'm going to ask you one last question here. What would be one piece of advice for someone that's watching this, a prospective franchisee that's looking at right at home? What would be a good piece of advice that you would give them, whether they're entertaining going into a business or not?
So I think mine is make sure you're going to this for the right reason. We did want to own a business, obviously, and this was, what we wanted to do, but we chose right at home because we agreed with their philosophy, but also I chose home care because I genuinely like senior citizens and those people. So it's just, it was a good fit for me. I wanted to do it because I wanted to do it and not because I just wanted to buy a business.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to make money out there, right? And if you don't have, I feel like if you don't have that, that caring spirit, this might not be the right fit for somebody. But if it is, you're definitely going to be birds of the feather.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's right, Trevor. If I could give one piece of advice, I would say, Amy would say, find your purpose, right? What is your purpose? And make sure that it aligns with this, because I think you and Amy both said it earlier, there's going to be rough days, there's going to be great days. And on those rough days, if you can align to your purpose and make sure that you're thinking about the big picture and what you're trying to accomplish. And I think you're going to find some level of joy in that hard day. But I think the advice I would give would be tied to that from a standpoint of do your due diligence, right? During that period, that is your chance to vet that out to make sure that your purpose aligns with the purpose that, Right at Home has. So when we were going through due diligence, we were looking, a little bit cynically, asking a lot of questions, questioning everything, trying to figure out what we didn't know, to try to take away some of those gotchas that, can creep up later. And for us, it just, every conversation, every piece of due diligence just kept reconfirming in our minds that we were making the right decision for the right reason. And I think that helped us in that first year, being able to look back on that and say, yeah, we are doing the right thing for the right reason still. So I think do your due diligence.
Well, that's great. And I just love the whole mindset that you guys have with the legacy potential for your kids here, because we have that in our system. There's a lot of franchises out there that talk about having something set up for kids to take over someday, and we've had a handful of owners that actually this year that are working on that transition plan. So it's kind of cool to see. You guys will probably run into some of them at home improvement this year, which I'm excited that you guys get to attend. But I will get out of your guys' hair. I know you guys are busy. Thank you so much for taking the time here to have one of these conversations. I know that the people that are going to be watching this will really enjoy the insights that you guys have provided.